You know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Star Wars feels kind of dead at the moment, but we do have some good news. According to one of the more reliable sources for these kinds of announcements, between November 8th and November 10th in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Skeleton Crew is confirmed to be showcased, and given that by then that is about a month out from the show, that is the perfect time to drop the final trailer. The first trailer dropped at the American D23, but apparently at the one in Brazil next month, Star Wars is going to have a pretty big presence, specifically Skeleton Crew, alongside Moana 2, Mufasa the Lion King, Captain America Brave New World, and other Disney projects. I would be cautious in over-speculating on the Star Wars front. Don't expect anything beyond Skeleton Crew. I could be mistaken, but I don't expect any other announcement or trailer at this event. And the Skeleton Crew news goes hand in hand with something that was just posted on Star Wars' official Twitter account. The children of the show have officially started marketing it. On Instagram a couple of days ago, they teased that they were doing something for a Disney event, and it looks as though it was for the Skeleton Crew marketing campaign, which is just about to begin. They do the same casting thing they've done for the Acolyte and the Kenobi show, the cast sitting together reacting to comments and tweets, that sort of thing. And if Disney and Lucasfilm are just about to start promoting Skeleton Crew, a final trailer could be just around the corner. For previous shows, even controversial ones like the Acolyte, there was still some buzz. For Skeleton Crew, fans have given a pretty strong meh kind of reaction to it. So here's the thing, guys. There have been a lot of opinions floating around, but I want to just reiterate that Skeleton Crew needs to be judged differently to other projects, at least in my opinion. Aside from creative choices, which we will get to in just a moment, this is the one Star Wars show that tried to inspire a child's sense of wonder to it. The show is coming at a weird time. There will naturally be a lot of cynicism following the Acolyte, following what fans have been saying about Disney Star Wars in recent months. But with Skeleton Crew, if we're going to try and enjoy it for its own merits, it's one of those series we have to take at face value, and for those who are watching it with their kids, it'll be interesting to hear what those fans say about the way their children responded to the show. Star Wars has been enjoyed by families since pretty much it began, but there has definitely been a focus on the more mature themes with some of the recent Disney Plus shows. This one is explicitly aimed with children in mind, so there is definitely a sense of levity to it. That's not to say we should be without criticism, and some Star Wars fans are already not very happy with the way the show looks. Let's dive into some of those comments. This doesn't look or feel anything like Star Wars, what the hell? None of that looks or feels like Star Wars. Oh, and once again, the ridiculously bad-looking Trandoshans are back. We had them in The Mandalorian, and they look as if they're half human. The faces are completely wrong. A waste of Jude Law. Me 10 years ago. I love all Star Wars movies. I hope Disney makes tons of awesome TV shows soon. Me now. New Disney Star Wars Thop trailer dropped. No thanks. Looks like Disney now wants to milk Amblin nostalgia. Got it. And what's with the Earth-looking town and suburb? Why not make this just a standalone sci-fi movie about kids from Earth? Why make it Star Wars? Oh, that's right. Brand recognition. So a lot of sentiments that they're not taking enough risks, that they're creatively bankrupt and just making everything look like Earth. We know there are going to be some leading aliens in the show. Some of the main characters are non-human, but I guess what critical fans are saying is that for a sci-fi show set in a galaxy far, far away with 20 million sentient species and 3.2 million planets with a variety of different environments, ecosystems, terrains, water worlds, jungle worlds, ice worlds, fire worlds, desert worlds, and to some, it looks like they've just gone with suburbia from the United States of America with a few floating vehicles as the sci-fi element. More on this in just a moment. Sorry, but I'm not really feeling it, this person says. It looks like a completely different show with a Star Wars coat of paint. I'm sorry, but the suburban town planet is really throwing me off hard. It's hilarious to think that place was probably under Imperial occupation, and stormtroopers were walking down those streets looking like trick-or-treaters. Oh my gosh, imagine if the Imperial remnant shows up and we get to see this. Star Wars is looking more and more like Planet Earth under Disney. That is just unimaginative. I do not like revisiting Earth while I'm watching Star Wars. It has to look like you're visiting a galaxy far, far away where everything looks different. And you know, we've had very terrestrial 50s vibes in Star Wars before, but I think this is the one show that's trying to be very much different to the other New Republic series. This is not The Mandalorian, this is not Ahsoka, and if you go back and watch the video I made about the supposed leaks, there's actually a very good in-universe reason why this one part of the planet the kids live on looks a lot like Earth. It's deliberate. I think for me it's a take it as it comes approach. I do understand the skepticism, but I'm interested in the bigger picture. How does Skeleton Crew connect to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie by Jon Favreau, which is something that's been teased? And then there's this sentiment: Star Wars really needs a break. Well, as someone who's been doing this every day for the last 4 years, following Star Wars news, watching the fandom in real time, staying up to date with all of the latest, this is probably the most down Star Wars has been, not just in terms of how fans are feeling about the IP, but in terms of fans saying, look, we've had 12 years of Disney Star Wars. They need to change something. It's time for a break. Whatever iteration that takes. And I think for many it goes down to who's in charge. Kathleen Kennedy. Is it time for Star Wars to take a new creative direction? You see a lot of fans citing the break between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and Star Wars survived on nostalgia, a few video games and books, but more than anything anticipation for George Lucas's Episode 1. So during this era of abundance for the Star Wars franchise, some fans are saying it was better to have nothing than to have consistent, subpar content. I've definitely been a more positive voice in the last few years, and I would definitely not go this far with it. I don't think we should have no Star Wars. I just think Lucasfilm needs to straighten out their creative priorities and allow the creatives who know what they're doing and understand what Star Wars is more freedom and more control with the storytelling. In my opinion, it's not all been bad, but Star Wars needs to really get things together and start deciding what is the priority for this franchise, what is the direction that we're going to focus on. So when it comes to needing a break, I think they're already doing that to some extent, a soft reset, slowing down the Disney Plus side and focusing on the films. I found this comment interesting. Since this was categorized by people who were in it as, quote, something no one was happy with after several rounds of reshoots, yeah, no thanks. This person's actually right about this. Making Star Wars and Bespin Bulletin had reports back in 2022 that reshoots went horrifically. We heard rumors Lucasfilm was not happy with the final product, but once that first trailer was posted at D23 of this year, the narrative shifted. Suddenly it was, Lucasfilm is happy with Jon Watts, they want him to do more Star Wars, more with Disney generally. The Hollywood Reporter claiming there might be a second season if the first is well received. They might just be doing damage control, or perhaps the early reports were exaggerated, but this often comes into my mind when we're talking about Skeleton Crew. It's safe to say the first trailer had a certain vibe. I'm curious to see if that differs in the second. We've had many shows where the first teaser trailer was extremely different to what was showcased in the second. And considering this series has a ton of different planets, different locations, it could be that the second and final trailer installs more hope. What do you guys think? In other Star Wars news, my dear friends, this is also a pretty major update. In light of The Acolyte, we've been talking so much about budgets. Andor Season 1 had an enormous budget, Skeleton Crew has a huge budget, and The Acolyte had a gargantuan budget. And all of these shows costing so much with poor return on investment are the reasons Disney have decided, after this, series will come out less frequently, but they're no longer going to be the most prominent part of the Star Wars franchise. The return to the big screen is going to be Lucasfilm's main focus. And in light of this, after the true budget for The Acolyte came out, Forbes also published how a new report shows The Force Awakens, the first big Disney Star Wars movie, Episode 7, the start of the sequels, was way more expensive than we knew. They say this: the cost of making Star Wars Episode 7 was even higher than previously thought. Disney spent $638.9 million, cementing it as the most expensive movie in history. So why is this so important? Because now that we're coming up to nearly 9 years since its release, its revealed budget is $200 million more than what was previously documented. For reference, until this point it was still at number 1, with an estimated net budget of $447 million. Now you're probably wondering, why did it take them so long to get these figures right? Because each film production company has to file financial statements showing everything from the total cost of the movie right down to the size of the crew who worked on it. This is a lengthy process. It was filmed at Pinewood Studios, not in the US. And the Forbes report states, its latest filings added $3.7 million to the total of the budget. And that's why it's only now it's being revealed how much the true cost of the movie was. And why this information wasn't made available beforehand, why it's only now we're finding this out. What do you make of all of the reveals? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this one? If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, check out our Patreon linked down below, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.